feel like one of the main reasons we feel lonely is because we're too focused on the self, especially nowadays where we're being taught to protect our peace and be more selfish. And, it feels like we're empowering ourselves and showing self love, which is true to an extent, but moderation is important as with all things in life. And you can lean too far into self love unknowingly, and it can turn into pushing people away, thinking that you're kind of bad energy, or people don't serve you in your life, or they're not helping you to become the best version of yourself. But I'm not saying that's bad to cut off people in your life, especially because they may not be for you, or they may be negatively impacting your life. I feel like nowadays a lot of people are too picky when it comes to friendships and relationships, and I feel like that's one of the main factors that a lot of people feel lonelier nowadays. And you feel like you're doing the right thing, but we need to remember that we're all human and we're not perfect. And it's not about loving others as the best version of themselves, but loving them despite their imperfections and loving them through their imperfections. Not expecting perfection. And you know, another thing is that we tend to create an idealized picture of a person in their head, especially like you could see someone walking across the street, maybe donating to the homeless, and you're like, oh, he's such a great guy. He's serving the community, helping people out, and you develop this idea of the person in their head, and now anything good, you just attribute it to him. Like if someone else could tell you something good about that person and automatically believe it, and someone else could tell you something negative, but you're less likely to believe that because you already have the idea in their head, from that one, encounter. And you're like, oh, there's no way he could do that. He's such a great person. Like, and on the other hand, you maybe see someone doing like something negative, especially like me. I used to look at a lot of people smoking and doing drugs, and I used to think that, oh, they must be like a terrible person. They must be like evil or something. But after doing like a deep dive, I just realized that it is just a form of escapism. Life can get hard for people, and it gets to the point where they have to turn to these type of things to escape. And I think there's just one thing I saw online saying like most people that do fall into drug use, they're not bad people. They just crumbled under the pressure of life. Things got hard for them, and they needed a form of escapism, an easy way to escape. But I feel like we need to stop assuming things about people, and we need to really check ourselves to see if we're creating like an idealized version of a person in our heads, and to realize that they are human, and that no one's fully good or evil, and no one's perfect. And I'm kind of gone on a tangent, but going back to my main point, what I really want to say is that the best way to help ourselves feel less lonely in this generation, regardless if you are actually lonely or whether you feel lonely surrounded by people you love, and because we can feel lonely even when we're surrounded by people that love us and that care for us. But I feel like the best way to help us feel less lonely is to make others feel less lonely. And in a way, it makes sense, because in doing so, you're helping to form a positive connection, and you're also benefiting someone else in that process. And it's a great feeling overall, helping someone out. And another very important thing I want to advise is that trying to make friends won't help you feel less lonely, especially if it's coming from a place of desperation. And around the start of my second year of university, I made like a conscious decision to try and better myself in almost every area of my life. It's, because my mental health at the time was kind of like, it was really bad, and my self-esteem was really low. Like I really wasn't like a confident person, and I really like hated myself at the time. And I was dealing like with a lot of things, well, especially like with a lust addiction that I had since I was a kid. And I was just tired and fed up of nothing really changing in my life. So I decided let me just make the active decision to, start making progress. And one of the main reasons I did this was because I wanted to be more sociable and, to meet more people, to put myself out there and, to be more of like an extroverted person. And I didn't feel like I did enough of that my first year. I felt like I was too closed off and I stuck to myself a lot. But I did try to, talk to more people, meet new people, but I did it from a place of desperation and I approached it from the wrong perspective. And as a result, I just felt very performative. And most of them just became like, friends, but like not super close. And I was very hard on myself as well. Like if I did have the opportunity to like talk to someone, but I didn't decide to take up because I was feeling too nervous at the time, I start like criticizing myself and being very hard on myself in my own head. But I had to realize that it's not about it's not a matter of trying to make a connection, but it's a matter of just allowing it to form naturally. And I did make some friends in my church as well, and that's how I realized that it's not something you have to force, it's something you have to just allow to happen. And I feel like that's how the best, like, deepest form connections are made. How you can create the deepest friendships, the deepest romantic relationships. And the main point I'm making from this is that instead of trying so hard to make new friends, if you're feeling lonely, you should instead focus on the people already in your life and deepening your relationship with them. And the reason this works is because a lot of the time people feel lonely because they aren't vulnerable enough, or they feel like they lack a space to be vulnerable. I believe that when you're more comfortable being vulnerable with someone that you already know and helping to deepen that relationship, it helps you to feel like you're not the only one shouldering your own issues or your struggles. You have someone to help you lighten the weight. And that being said, you shouldn't try to force connection, but foster it by spreading positivity and focusing on the connections you already have.